Let's start this presentation with a real serious topic. Dear audience, I have to inform you about that the small signal diodes from Infineon has been passed away. We have been informed from the purchasing department and it was a surprise. Our thoughts go to the purchasing, component and design engineers who has to deal with this production stop. Also to the R&D product manager, sales responsibles who has to explain to customer why you can't deliver the products. To the management why the sales is going to disappear. And one question remains, could that have been foreseen with some solutions in beforehand? Yes, I say yes. If you have installed obsolescence management in your business processes, supported by proactive and strategic component engineering, which I'm going to talk about the next 10 minutes. What do I mean with that? Let's start with some basic to look into the component market. You have on the bottom axis the life cycle, the lifetime, and you want to have a product lifetime more than 20 years. Most of you have, I'm quite sure. And those products are built with some mechanical stuffs, electromechanicals, connectors, passive capacitors, also with very complex computer chips, ASICs, and also displays. They often have less life cycle. You know that, and as a basic rule, I tell everybody the more complex component technology is, the shorter the life cycle. It's not very accurate, I look to Professor Peter Seppler, but looking at the displays, I was in a meeting with R&D, the manufacturer of display came and said, well, I have a great display here, you can't touch it, from behind, from everywhere, and if a girl looks at it, it's a girl, I have to use this one, and if a girl looks at the display, it becomes purple. I said, whoa. Great features, and the design engineer was with me, Daniel, and he was amazed and said, oh, that's perfect. I thought, when is the next generation coming? Oh, we are going to plan with new innovation in 5 years. And, looked at my counterpart, the design engineer, have you already planned the redesign? Oh, no, we are in front of the market release of the first series, I don't want to replace it. Well, think of the contracts, as Peter told you before. I don't want to bother you with technical details here, but we all have to agree that we have to deal with obsolescence. And in my opinion, the best case is if you can calculate obsolescence. And therefore, I ask, when do you need component engineer? When do you need component engineering as a counterpart to the design engineer? David told us, a lot of complex systems, technical aspects to consider where you are an expert in, and how do I choose the correct component out of the component library? Before I come back to the component library and the size, I want to give you some other market facts. When I started to work with obsolescence management some years ago more professionally, I made a survey through the almost whole electronic industry. It was along the supply chain management, over 40 companies participated, from component manufacturers over suppliers to the OEMs, ABB, Siemens, Bombardier, and also some little companies like Variant serving for the medical market. So they participated, and the first question I said is, how often do you deal with obsolescence incidences? That you know, production stop, scary, the component is no longer available. And half of all of these 20 companies said more than 5 times a year. And another third, in the green, see this? Yes, here. in the green, and the light grey said between 0 and 5. Now, summing up these numbers with the average cost of a redesign in the R&D are amazing numbers. And I shared opinion with Ulrich Emmer. Obsolescence management is not subjected to costs, it's an investment. So that was amazing for me. I knew, oh, there's a lot of potential to go further. Then I thought about solutions. I asked the same companies, who has installed somehow some solution providers to manage something according to lifecycle components, whatever. Half of the industry told me, yeah, we have Silicon Expert or IHS. They are still combating which is the better provider, isn't it? You know this discussion, oh, should I take the one or the other? And what was horrifying to me is half of the industry said, either no, we don't use, or they said, what is it? Yeah, for me, that was clear that potential to go further with solutions in terms of obsolescence management was given. Now I want to take you with me on a journey why strategic component engineering is important, or when is it important. We now know the market facts, some market facts. Now we go into your companies. You know all the discussions. Who is responsible? Something happened. Who is responsible? Oh, the other, no, this one, no. We had, we shouldn't. I asked, when do a design engineer needs component engineering? And for me, you see here, the component library size, the bigger it is, the more risk you have that obsolescence incidences will happen. And also, the bigger the challenge for design engineers. There is somewhere a critical level of the component library size where I say the design engineer shouldn't be any more responsible to treat all these PCNs, LTBs and all that stuff. It should be the need of a component engineering. Thank you, Ian, for emphasizing that strategic component engineering is important as seen as a cross-functional team. Because we are the melting group of requirements from purchasing department, from R&D, from the market, from the customer, from everyone. So there is a critical level, and above this you need somehow a group called component engineering. And I want to explain you how you could, if you decide you have component engineers handling the component library with all the data maintenance, what is required, etc. Then you can decide if you have reactive component engineering, proactive component engineering, or strategic component engineering. But let me explain this one. My first question but here is, if you think in your company about your component library, do you know all lifecycle data of your component library? Who has all available? Let me see. One guy. Perfect. I must need to know afterwards how you manage this. Thank you. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you very much. I want to hear your solution if you allow me to know. So, for all others, let's assume we all have the lifecycle information available of every single component. What means we know the life cycle, it is this, the LTP is coming in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and how many components it is. And let's classify it into bars. So, having this and here, the life cycle, when the component is going to disappear, for me it doesn't matter if it's a manufacturer overtaking, or a production stop, or a legal compliance reason behind, or a supplier who has offered a better price to the purchasing department. I don't care about. Here I'm looking to a little bit to Professor Peter Sandborn, give us the right algorithm to estimate correctly and as reliable as possible the life cycle. And I'm looking to Rafa with big data, how you handle behind that this graph can be managed. I don't care, I must know when the components will disappear from the market. So reactive component engineering, that is what most of us recognize the fastest. That are people, design engineers or component engineering, regardless or depending on your organizational structure, is when you have to deal with components which are already obsolete or disappeared already, production stop. You recognize those people like, who is responsible? Sales, production stop. No, why we didn't know? Very, very pressureful situation of these people. In my opinion, if you have the component library with its life cycle a little bit better managed, you can start to think about proactive component engineering. So you see the components which are going to be obsolete, which reason ever, and you can address some solutions in beforehand. This is needed to perfectly support the design engineer. When he is coming and says, here's my bill of material, what is the technology saying, what is the legal compliance status, what is the life cycle estimation, regardless, it would be perfect if proactive component engineering can also evaluate further technologies to be included in a redesign of your product. And the last perfect vision is to have strategic component engineering. So you have the whole component catalog available, and you have for every of these technologies and components a strategy as a solution, and you form a component strategy together with your purchasing department. And if this is being adapted into the designs, then you have the best performance and handling of the component library into your product development processes. Normally, here I would show you some steps like how to implement component engineering to support the obsolescence management the best way with some basics, strategy, KPIs, etc., etc., etc. But I'm not here to guide you through your improvements of your business processes. There are other experts here to support you with applicable management systems. But as a final speaker here, I have the privilege to look after the whole day and summarize up what we have heard today. So for me, it came clear. Innovation causes obsolescence. Acceleration causes bottlenecks. Data transfer decisions. And Daniel told us technology makes us contactless. And there was where I fear. Contactless as a society. When I hear this fact, I realized that this community here, or this organization of the phone, is more important than it had ever been. So, before I want to use or to celebrate, let's talk about celebration. Before I celebrate this community with you, before we go to the break, I want to bring you a little bit of groove into this community. Please support me with a little bit of finger snipping, would be perfect.